What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Master League. Now, this is not something I usually look at on my channel, and that's because the Master League, let's be honest, it's pay to win. It's very inaccessible to the average player. But today we're going to be looking at an entirely free-to-play line with the focus around the newly buffed Florges, which now has access to Trailblaze. Florges already has access to Fairy Wind, Moonblast, or Disarming Voice for your fairy type coverage. We went for Moonblast, which is also suggested here on PvP, and you can see, look at it, it's ranked 7 in the Master League as a free-to-play mon, and it only gets like 3600 CP, so you know, but it's definitely got a bump because the Curums, black and white, are absolutely everywhere. Palkia Origin is still absolutely everywhere. Meloetta got a buff. I haven't seen a single one of those though. And then I just wanted the honorable mention of Rhyperior, which was probably the best free-to-play Master League mon previously. Now down at 11, but I mean, let's be real. 3 of those in the top 10 are Palkia. So yeah, let's just hop right into some battles. We're leading with a Goodra, closing with a Melmetal, all free to play. This is a pretty neutral lead, Origin Palkia, but we have 2 better answers in the back, so we actually just get into our Melmetal, and this is why we have that Thunderbolt coverage. It'll hit neutrally on the Dragon Water typing of Origin Palkia, and they actually throw an alignment, which means we get a whole Thundershock in for free, which is really nice. And they full send a Spatial Rend, and that is resisted, and also lets me outpace, so that is very kind of them. And they do shield that one up. I probably can survive an Aquatail from this range, to be completely honest. Yeah, so I do just no shield. Aquatail goes through just barely, so now they're going to have to take a resisted double Iron Bash, which is fine, because now we can just align our Florges on it, and probably just go for the full farm down here. Not going to shield anything, because they definitely have an answer to Florges in the back, so we're going to have to hope in 2 shield Goodra is my guess. And it's a Necrozma in the back, which honestly isn't like a hard answer to a fairy, so that's kind of surprising, but it is neutral. And they do shield that up, and then it's a Curum white in the back, I believe this is. And Curum white is an Ice Fang user. We have no charge moves for this, and this is why it probably recommends Draco Meteor on your Goodra, but I did not want to give up Thunder Punch or Aquatail, so just let them get the full farm down. And at this point, I just have to probably double shield, unless they full send an Ice Burn, and then we can just get the full farm down. And now we have a Moonblast loaded, and this will do some decent chip. I'm not sure if it'll KO. Yeah, definitely not going to KO. But the question is, can we outpace to a move before they can make it to 2 Dark Pulses? Are we going to get there? We had the Trailblaze, but only 1 more for the Moonblast. On our 6th cycle, that came in clutch big time, and we're actually able to beat an insane line from my opponent. Definitely pay to play on their end, so we take the win. Togekiss, that's a bad lead. We come in with our Florges because that is just a neutral matchup instead, not coming in with our hard answer, obviously. And they let the Moonblast go, which is pretty nice. And then they throw a move. This is probably just an Ancient Power, but I will respect it just because I do want to keep my Florges around. And here comes Rhyperior, and this, my friends, is why Trailblaze is fantastic. 1 shield. Can we get a 2nd shield? We can. Now we're just going to bank that because it looks like our Florges probably has play in the back. If they're coming into a loaded Florges with a Rhyperior, they are going to make it to back-to-back breaking swipes. And they will be able to survive an Aquatail, whether they get one or not. But they actually come back in with Togekiss, and we're out of move, so we can just take this out with a Thunder Punch. They have no shields remaining at this point. What are they going to do? They're going to come back in with that Rhyperior. We survive the Mud Slap, make it to an Aquatail that is massive, and at this point, probably just going to eat the Breaking Swipe on to our Florges and then come in with our Melmetal. What is that Pokemon in the back is the question. and my opponent doesn't want to show me. I'm guessing it was pre-Marina. That's my best guess because they didn't want to come into a Florges or a Melmetal. So, but either way, Rhyperior in the next match. This one was that one on rock throw. What was that? For a second, it looked like they were throwing rocks. I'm gonna have to check that again. I don't think I noticed that when I was playing them for the first time. Let's see. They get the breaking swipe. Yeah, I think they're running Smackdown. Very, very strange from my opponent, but we are able to outpace. We actually grab a shield, which is pretty surprising. And I am just going to shield back and then fully farm down. And as a Palkia in the back, so we're coming in with our Florges here. We're both in the one shield here, so we can very comfortably eat an Aqua Tail. We can comfortably eat two, to be completely honest, with these Dragon Breaths being double resisted. Gonna farm up, go for the Moonblast, no point in baiting here. We have the alignment that we need, and they let that go. Then they come back in with Rhyperior, only to get Fairy Wind farmed down, and there we go. That's why they have Kyurem in the back, so I am baiting. I am throwing the Trailblaze. I know they don't want to get wiped that quickly, and unfortunately, by shielding that up, that lets me get to a boosted Moonblast, and I think we're going to win this game without even having to show our Melmetal. Yep. The stat product difference too between Florges and Kyurem, the 3600s versus 5200s, and still able to take that win is absolutely ridiculous to me. Anyways, we've got Ho on the lead in the next match. This is absolutely where we want to see it. I'm honestly surprised that they're not getting out of this matchup. And they do just throw a Brave Bird right away. And then they come in with Kyurem Black. So I actually come in with my Melmetal because when we resist the ice move, whatever it is, not Ice Burn or a Freeze Shock, I think it is. At least we have that advantage, and we have super effective double Iron Bash, which we have a huge pacing advantage on. And even though it takes like I think 3 to KO, to be completely honest, and we're not gonna be able to Thundershock farm down, which is pretty unfortunate. But we do have a pacing advantage, like I said, so able to get to this double Iron Bash, and they do let that go. And now we also can make it to a Thunderbolt against their Ho-Oh, and this will at least grab a shield or just KO, and then it's Palkia in the back, so now we can just align our Florges onto the Palkia. Sorry, opponent. Free to play for the win. Okay, into the next match, Yveltal. We do have two better answers in the back, but it looks like I am going to stay in this matchup because there's no point in really just giving them a free switch advantage, but they actually make a really nice catch onto Xerneas. And now we can just align our Melmetal, and this is where the pacing of Melmetal is absolutely insane. When you have super effective double Iron Bashes, and you know what, we can take a close combat. It's got the bulk it needs. We can survive one, and there's one, and now we always will outpace, so we're never worried about that. We will just match shields no matter what, and for some reason they do commit the shield and then throw an alignment. I'm not really sure why. But they throw another close combat, and that's why, because they were trying to burn the clock and snipe with Yveltal. So that's a pretty nice play. I do burn the shield, but now I can align my Florges onto their Yveltal, and they are going to get an Oblivion Wing off here, and that's okay. We can live one. They actually go for a Dark Pulse. I wonder if they're actually on Focus Blast as well. So completely walled by fairies. That would be pretty unfortunate. But do farm up a little bit, go for the Moonblast. They come in with Kyurem Black, so now we're going to throw another Moonblast, probably grab the shield, and we do, but that's okay. I try to go for a catch there, I'm unsuccessful, but it just forced them to throw their energy because these Dragon Breaths are super effective, and our charge moves would do absolutely nothing. So I'm glad they threw that when they did. The question is, can we outpace? And my guess is no at the moment. I think they overfarmed enough. So I come in with my Melmetal. I'm able to get to this double Iron Bash, and they're going to be forced to throw their energy. And they do. They throw one before we get to the next double Iron Bash, which is a pretty nice play. But at this point, I have 2 away from the Moonblast, and this will be enough to KO. And then it's a race about who can get to their first charge move, and I am able to outpace, get to the Trailblaze before they're able to get to a close combat. And Trailblaze KOs the Xerneas, and we're able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, Necrozma. Okay, this is a really bad lead, and it's really awkward for this team because we really don't have a better answer. I mean, Melmetal at least has a neutral matchup here, and honestly, it's not a terrible matchup for Gudra, because, I mean, unless they build up to the Sunsteel Strike, but this one only build up to a Dark Pulse, which is like fine. We can eat that, and these Dragon Breaths are honestly still chunking, which is kind of surprising because, yeah, I don't know. It's resisted, but you know, it's still gonna do some damage. I guess it's a fast move damage, pressure, and they do win the zeros, which is fine. I mean, that's to be expected. They have the typing advantage. We do get one turn lag, but we can eat a Dark Pulse. It shouldn't really be an issue for the Melmetal, and then we're able to get the full farm down. So what is in the back is the question, and there's a Groudon. So now this is where it gets difficult. We are able to get to a Trailblaze, which is nice. We do have the pacing advantage, and they actually shield the first, which is a little bit strange, I won't lie, especially because we have energy loaded on the Melmetal, but they do successfully bait with a Fire Punch, and I think if I want to get back in this matchup, I'm going to have to call a bait on the next charge move. They do have enough for the Precipice Blades, but I call it. I'm hoping this is just a Fire Punch, and it is. That is a huge mistake by my opponent. They do throw again right away. I could live this, but I do choose to shield this up because they didn't switch out of this matchup, which means it's something weak to us in the back, and it's Kyurem Black, and I think they were on Dragon Tail there, actually, and they eat that charge move, and I also would be able to make the Trailblaze, so they're forced to throw their energy, and even though they have a shield, it does not matter. We're at back-to-back double Iron Bashes loaded on the Melmetal. They were screwed from the start. And yeah, you can't shield two when you only got one, so double Iron Bash is enough to KO, and we're able to take that win. So many of these maxed legendary Pokemon, I don't know how people do it, but Origin Palkia in the lead for the next match. They let me get to a Thunderbolt first, which is nice, able to either force a first shielding decision of the match, and they don't, they let it go. I can let this go as well. They will be able to outpace, in fact, so they can throw two Aqua Tails before I make it to the next Thunderbolt, and that is what they're going to do. But I'm not too worried about it. I can live two. The question is, can I make it to two Thunderbolt? And it looks like not quite. And I could have baited here, but I'd rather not, and they do let that go, so that's massive that I didn't. And I'm actually still able to make it to another Thunderbolt, so that's huge. This will do some decent chip against Necrozma, and then we're actually going to come in with our Florges here. So now potentially reading whatever is in back is weak to the Gudra, because if you've got a Palkia on the lead, that's like your Ho-Oh answer, for example. So you probably have something good to Ho-Oh in the back, or I don't know, maybe you have like Steals or something that Fleur just doesn't want to see. But so I do shield that up, and it's actually just another dragon, and I do bait here, which is a little bit of a risky bait, but they do shield that up, and now these Fairy Winds are chunking. I try and go for a like a Fusion Flare catch on to my Gudra, but I'm unsuccessful. But this does force them to throw the Ice Burn, and because we baited, that means we're actually able to outpace here, get to the Moonblast, excuse me, and Moonblast is enough to KO from that range, so we're able to take the win. Not bad for like first time in Master League ever, but Ho-Oh in the lead. This is where we want to see it. Every other Ho-Oh except for that first Ho-Oh shielded all of my charge moves on Gudra, which was really annoying because I started going for Thunder Punches instead of Aqua Tails. But of course, we're just going to match shields at this point, because even if they do go for Sacred Fire, I don't really want to risk it. And we can overfarm just a little bit here, throwing the Thunder Punch. And they double shield their Ho-Oh. Maybe they really are weak to the Gudra in the back, but I guess I'll just take this in the zeros, or in the twos, I should say, and I accidentally over tap and throw just a tad too late, and they catch onto Palkia, which is pretty unfortunate, but I can't just come in with Florges. I can eat an Aqua Tail. This will do, I don't know, 30%. Yeah, that doesn't hurt at all. Over farming just a little bit, going for the Moonblast here. Moonblast will be enough to KO the Palkia. And now it's just about how much farm are we going to concede to the Ho-Oh, and none, because they throw right away, which is actually massive for us, because now we can just come back in with the Goodra and outpace. So waiting out the switch timer, coming in with the Goodra, they're staying in, which is nice, because now we can get to an Aqua Tail and just KO the Ho-Oh once and for all. What is in the back? It is a Primarina, and I thought they were going to be on Waterfall because of them not wanting to switch out of that terrible lead matchup, but they're not. And we have a great matchup here with Melmetal. We have super effective Thundershocks and Thunderbolts. This will be enough to basically KO the Primarina. We're able to get the full Thundershock farm down, and we're able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, another Ho-Oh lead. So many Ho-Oh leads. It's a good thing we built our team the way we did. They come in with a Palkia. This is a very typical line, as you're gonna find out, is that Ho-Oh Double Dragon. It's a team that's as old as time. I don't play Master League, but even I know this. This team has existed forever. There's no point in baiting in this matchup. Always full send the Moonblast. The only way they get out of that matchup is if you bait. And this one looks like they are going to go for the potentially fully aggressive farm down. So I'm going to throw in good timing, go for the Moonblast, try and get that attack fall, just make it as awkward as possible for my opponent. And honestly doing some decent chip, and then they have Kyurem Black in the back, and this is where the pacing on Melmetal is super nice. I can eat one Fusion Bolt, I'm not too worried about it. It'll do about like 55%, or maybe 50 plus the Shadow Claws. Yeah, and because we have the pacing advantage, we can always throw before they get to another move. And even though two of these won't KO, we're not too worried about it, because all we need is two of them to connect, because even if we can't get them in Thundershock farm down range, we can put them in Dragon Breath farm down range. And they actually come back in with the Ho-Oh. I build up to the Thunderbolt, I bait with a Double Iron Bash to preserve some health, and then I come in with the Goodra. We have enough energy on the Goodra to make it to an Aqua Tail and KO the Ho-Oh, and now they're going to come back in with a Kyurem, and then they realize they're not going to make a move when we have 3 Pokemon remaining, so they resign the match. Okay, into what I believe might be the last battle of the video. We've got a Xerneas on the lead, which is not a good lead. And then they come in with a Landorus to our Florges safe swap. We bait with the Trailblaze, and they do call that, which is unfortunate, but they only build up to a Sanseer Storm, which is fine, because that means that this is just going to lower our attack back to the standard level of attack. And so this time I'm just going to go straight Moonblast. I have the switch pacing advantage, so that is nice, and they actually call it and they let it go, which is massive. And then they come in with a Kyurem Black. They throw on really good timing right as they get to the move, and they do KO my Florges, and I try to align my Goodra, and now I have my Melmetal on the Xerneas. I'm letting them throw first in case they do throw the close combat, because then my Double Iron Bash would do so much more damage, but they do correctly just go for the Moonblast. But that is okay. We can still connect with a Double Iron Bash unless they shield for some reason. Maybe they don't really know the counts on Double Iron Bash, because, yeah, I was going to say, you can very comfortably live those on Xerneas. I am in close combat range at this point, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I start shielding. I have the pacing advantage, there's no point not to at this point. But now I can just go for another Double Iron Bash, and they actually preserve the health on their Xerneas, which is a little surprising. And I'm thinking about what to do here, but I don't think they have a move loaded on their Kyurem, so I just kind of wait, make sure that they don't catch, and they do come in with the Kyurem, and at this point I just need them to throw the Ice move to KO my Goodra before my Dragon Breaths KO them, because I do have a Double Iron Bash loaded, which is super effective on the Ice typing, so I farm up just a little bit before they make it to a Fusion Bolt. And this will be enough to KO, and now I'm just 1 away against the Xerneas, so I can still throw in good timing, and this is super effective coverage. It will be enough to KO the Xerneas, and we're able to take that win. So yeah, that is the best free-to-play Pokemon in the Master League, Trailblaze Florges. I mean, it really stepped up, and it definitely helps in the baiting department. I don't know if I would say it's a strict upgrade. I think it's definitely going to decrease the amount of Rhyperior you see, just because it does have that double super effective coverage now. That being said, I think it's more of a side grade, just because you can still do the same baiting, and honestly, not having the fairy coverage with your bait kind of hindered me in a couple matchups. Like, I found, just because it does less damage in general, that I don't think in any of those matches, I think it would have been fine if I had Disarming Voice as well, is what I'm saying. There's very few where I felt like it totally flipped the matchup, but I think it's still a good move for this Pokemon in general. And yeah, it was fun to run. Melmetal with this moveset specifically is also super fun and super strong. And then Goodra, just my like bulkiest dragon that I have built for the Master League. I could probably build a Dragonite, make this team a little bit more meta, but yeah, that is the team, and that's the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.